There's been a lot of love out there for this game, Fate of the Fellowship, with people saying this is the greatest Lord of the Rings game ever. Now that is a high bar. So what do I think? Well, I'll tell you. I think it may be, but I do have some reservations. What I will say is I think it's the best Lord of the Rings game that's been released in a while. And I think it's got a lot going for it. I think it's a good game, and I'm really glad that I bought it. Now, I got it recently at the UK Games Expo, which was about 2 weeks ago. That's 2026. So I haven't had it that long, but I have had a fair few plays, a couple of multiplayer goes, and endless solo attempts, which we'll talk about in a moment. But let's have a look at what you get in the box with Fate of the Fellowship. Now, this game is a real premium product in my opinion. It looks great and all the pieces are fantastic, but if we open it up, there's some real genius in the way they've got it back in the box. They even give you a plan of how to do it. There's the rule book. We'll have a look at the board in a minute. So look at this. There's actually a dice tower in the box. Now, this is a little bit divisive because people are saying, well, that must have cost a bit of money to produce. Yeah, absolutely, but who doesn't like a dice tower? I quite like a dice tower, but I usually forget to use them. I've got to say I found it quite useful in this game. The pieces are quite small and you don't want to be knocking them all over the place, so I have been sort of like using the dice tower as well as possessing it. And it's a thing to behold. We'll see it up in a moment, but it comes in 3 parts and they're neatly packed in here, which is great. Where's the other bit? Oh, here we go. Just the Eye of Sauron from the top. Which leaves you, once it's gone, quite a lot of space in the box. Also, if you have a look at these, packed again brilliantly to the side of the box, these are completely unnecessary. These are plastic fell beasts. Not dragons, as somebody said the other day at my gaming group. Clearly not dragons. You're going to be excluded from Nerd Club if you think they're dragons. They're fell beasts. Okay, they're unnecessary. You could do that with tokens. Why would you though, when you can have plastic fell beasts? But my point is, if you take all that out, and if you made some of these cards here, which are really oversized, a normal human size, then there's actually not very much in the box for actually playing the game. They could have produced it for a lot cheaper because it is not that cheap a game, but it is beautiful when it is set up. And is that important? Yeah, I think it is. I think theme is obviously important, and the theme's good here, but table presence and how things look are part of the immersion. Yeah, it looks lovely, and I don't begrudge the extra money I spent on some of this unnecessary plastic and cardboard. Let's see what it looks like when it's put together. And there is that dice tower in all its glory. Do you want me to roll some dice? How exciting! It's like a live action experiment. Oh, it rolled it! Oh, and again! Oh, and again! Oh, no! I mean, it's a perfectly functional cardboard dice tower, which looks amazing, along with this board covered in ring wraiths, disease cubes, by which I mean orcs, wooden characters, lovely artwork on the cards. If I hover above, you'll see it's a really lovely and very complex map of Middle-earth. Okay, so what are my problems with this? Well, they're not great, by which I mean they're not big problems. This is a reskin of Pandemic. It's designed by Matt Leacock, and there was some concern in my gaming group that it was just going to be Pandemic, and it isn't. It feels more thematic than that, and it's got some excellent replayability. Like I say, this is a good game, a really good game, and perhaps the best Lord of the Rings game for a while. I'm just not sure it's the best ever. So, order of play, anyone who's played Pandemic will recognise that order of play. You do some actions, you draw some cards, and then you draw some bad cards. So, draw good cards, draw bad cards. It says there, do 4 + 1 actions. This is quite an interesting change. You get 2 characters, and you can do 4 actions with one and 1 action with the other on a turn. And which one you decide to do what with is up to you. That go. So it might be there's not a lot for character A to do on one turn, but there's loads for character B, and vice versa the next turn. So that's all well and good. There are 13 characters in the game, and this supports up to 5 players. So you could have 10 characters out on the board with 3 in the box. So you'll do your actions with your characters. Let me just show you the characters I've got, because characters are quite nice. They're these nice little wooden tokens next to some tiny weeny soldier tokens. And these are really tiny now. I'm just going to, for scale, here's my finger. I just crushed this soldier. Oh, hang on, where's this one come from? Oh, he's come from down there. Crush the soldier! So that's Faramir. Over there we've got Eowyn. Up the back there we got Aragorn. Cheeky face. What are they called? Frodo and Sam. And I'm sure I've got another one. Oh, Arwen. Arwen's hiding up the top there. Behind that Nazgul. So you do 4 actions, and they've all got special actions, and they've got these cards down here telling you what their special actions are. And I've set this one up for what would be a solo player game, where you don't get 2 characters, you get 4 characters and Frodo and Sam. And every go you do 4 actions with the character that has the green thing on, then you do 1 with Frodo and Sam, and then you move the green thing along, do 4 with that one the next turn, 1 with Frodo and Sam, move it along. You get the idea, you're moving the green token along. So far so good. You do your 4 actions, very much like in Pandemic, probably going to be removing disease cubes, by which I mean orcs. Orcs are these little red fellas. I had a bad random setup here for Umbar. I think Umbar, it's got a little red fella showing on it. It started with 1, and then you draw cards to decide where you're going to put some extras, and Umbar got absolutely loads. Next, you're going to draw some good cards. Let's have a look. So you draw 2 per go. So this one's a fighty card. That will help in fights. You can kill extra disease cubes, by which I mean orcs. And this one is Eriador. Good for hiding and that. Because it's got a cloak on it. That's a cloak. Sorry, that's a cloak. A cloak and a fighting card. Okay. So, yeah, there we go. There is a hand of cards. What is it? It's 7. 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their Halls of Stone. I really like this at the bottom. Cards have numbers on. And they all have a little bit of lore. 4 Farthings of the Shire. This one is 20 guests at the 100-weight feast. I'm trying to think what the 100-weight feast was. Anyway, I think it was Anyway, doesn't matter. The next thing that you might get could be, oh no, a Skies Darken, a bagged card. So this is effectively the same as you would get in Pandemic when the disease intensifies. And we'll have a look at how that works in a moment, that's fine. Or a ring card. Now, what's the number? Let's have a look, just because we can. Oh, 1 ring to rule them all. That makes sense, the Mordor ring card. Now, in order to destroy the ring, Frodo needs to get 5 ring cards, which is, again, reminiscent of healing diseases in Pandemic. It's also one of the things that I think is a little bit problematic with the thematics in this game, but we'll come on to that in a minute. Okay, so you draw your 2 cards. Most of them are good, and there are special things in there as well, like get some horses from Rohan and you can move a little bit quicker. They're basically special events. You can have some special events in there. And then you draw your shadow cards, and you draw the number of shadow cards based on the threat, which is, again, a very Pandemic. I mean, this is all it's a reskin of Pandemic, isn't it, basically? So the threat is telling you at the moment to draw 2, but that'll go up. Right, but this is genius. Why has nobody ever thought of this before? So let's draw 2 of these cards. You draw the first one, and it's got two sides to it. But you look here to see which side of the card you're going to do. I say sides, top or bottom. If there is a flag at the top of the card, you do the top, which is a troop movement. And this would move troops from Nirn towards the Woodland Realm along this route it's shown here. And you'll see there are some really complicated, swirly arrows for moving these troops. If you... So that you do that, you move your troops. And what was it? What did it say? Nirn. No, Rune to the Woodland Realm, sorry. So let's have a look. What have we got? We've got Rune. There's nobody else between them and the Woodland Realm. The Woodland Realm's up there. So basically these troops will just up there to Dorwinian. Okay. Imagine we draw the next card though. Oh. And we look at the back of this one and there's a flag at the bottom. So we do this instead. So we put extra troops in Rune, where we've just come from. That's bad news. And then you do some shimmying about with Nazguls. And so on and so forth. And then when you get a Skies Darken, which is a disease intensifies card, you move your threat marker up, like that. What else do you do? Oh, I just moved all these characters everywhere. You move, the shadow grows, increase the threat rate. I see you. Oh, that's a thing. If the Eye of Sauron, there it is, currently in Frodo's region. If the Eye of Sauron is in Frodo's region, when you draw one of these, you lose hope. I'll show you hope in a minute. And then you put 3 baddies somewhere, in this case in the Druiden Forest. And then the danger intensifies. You take all the cards that are in the discard pile here, shuffle them, bung them on top. Again, a very, very pandemic mechanic. Hope is over here. You start on 6. If you ever lose, well, it's the only way to lose actually. Hope gets driven down by all sorts of mechanics when it hits 0, which can happen quite quick. So if you know pandemic, you'll have recognised a lot of those mechanics, but it does feel more Lord of the Ringsy than pandemic-y, despite the similarity in rules. Part of that is the missions you have at the side. You'll always have missions. So these ones, for instance, are starter missions. Saruman, your staff is broken, challenging Sauron to distract the eye, or attain the blessing of the elves to get yourself some extra troops in the troop library. I don't know what it is. The barracks, I suppose. But there are a load of these. There are 28. I don't actually know if there are 28. I think there's 28. There's loads. You can kill Balrogs. You can do other stuff. You can shoot people. That's a good one. You can shoot people with Legolas. Free Theoden's mind. Ride with the Earred. Is that how you say that? Unseat Denethor. You've got all of the peeps. All of the peeps from Lord of the Rings. Every character has got a special mission, and there's a few more besides. Let's pretend there's 28. Oh, I'm not shuffling them well. Let's pretend there's 28. Right, let's edit this so that I can put this away. So the missions require you to be in certain places at certain times with certain stuff in order to succeed. There's also variability in the choice of characters. And like I say, there's 13 in the game. If you had 5 players, you'd have 10 out. This is perhaps where I've started to see a slight problem, because I've played quite a lot solo. If you've got 5 players, you've got 10 characters out, you can cover this board pretty well. You're going to have somebody in each corner when it starts to go wrong, when the disease, by which I mean orcs, intensifies in a given area. You're likely to have someone in that area. You've got 10 people running around. You can have somebody up in Eriador in case they sneak from Dol Amroth around, and the great big arc along that line there, as though they've caught a boat to invade. You can have someone in, I don't know, Minas Tirith permanently fending off the disease, by which I mean orcs, as they charge up the board. You get the idea. If you've got a lot of characters out, you can cover all the eventualities. You can cope with the variation that this deck throws at you. However, if you've got fewer players, you're a little bit doomed. And if you're not doomed, you're going to end up doing that pandemic thing of firefighting. And that doesn't feel very thematic. So, I've got a couple up north, Aragorn and Arwen. They're up there. I've got Faramir down in Minas Tirith, and I've got Éowyn in Edoras. There's no one over here in Ravanion or up in Dale, or down here really, Mordor way. And it does make a big difference. It does make a big difference. So having fewer characters is a real problem. Now, it makes the solo player game really hard, which is good. But what I've noticed is instead of feeling Lord of the Ringsy, it starts to feel pandemic-y because of that firefighty thing that you start doing of, oh, gotta whack-a-mole those orcs over there. Oh, now I've got to get over here and whack-a-mole those orcs. Also, a couple of things that are perhaps a little unthematic. This business with the ring cards. These ring cards, needing 5 ring cards. Imagine, if you will, that Frodo's made it to North Ithilien. Let's get Frodo, stick him in North Ithilien. Anyone who knows Lord of the Rings knows he's well on his way to getting into Mordor to destroy the ring. And then someone says, oh, you haven't got enough ring cards. But I've got a ring card, but I'm up here, I'm Arwen, I'm in the Woodland Realm. Oh, okay, well, you're miles away, aren't you? That's how many weeks travelling in Middle-earth? Oh, weeks and weeks and weeks. Oh, except I can do it in one go. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she can pass me the card. It's really annoying. You've got to be in a place that it says. You've got to be in the region that the card has on it, which is why, for instance, this one, Mordor. If you wanted to be past this one, you'd have to pop into Mordor to drop it in Frodo's pocket. That feels unthematic. This fast movement across the board in order to pass cards to one another. That's not very Lord of the Ringsy. Another problem that's highlighted by fewer characters is that some are way better than others. So Aragorn has been consistently underwhelming, which is a real shame. Everyone loves a bit of Aragorn, don't they? But he's not great. He's meant to be really good at fighting, but he never seems to be able to get an army together quick enough to actually do the fighting. I don't know. He's just not performed well in games we've done so far. On the other hand, Éowyn, who's an important character with an important thing to do, but here she's unaccountably superb. Go into battle on this board game without Éowyn. Madness. She kills these Nazgul. It's the only way to kill them is have Éowyn in a fight with them. She can absolutely massacre the things, and she can just get an army together in nothing flat. She can have a very, very, very nasty army ready to go turn 1. She's a great character. Now, there are other characters here, and there's similar imbalance amongst them. The ones who can recruit straight away seem to be the more powerful. There are various free peoples over here. This is the supply. You've got elves, Rohan. No, sorry, the top one, the blue ones are Gondor. Then the brown ones are Rohan, and the green ones are elves. Then the grey ones are dwarves. You've got people who can recruit those. They're the more powerful ones. Now, in a game with 5 players, you're going to have those characters, or at least a good mixture of those characters. You'd be very unlucky if they're the 3 that have all gone back to the box. So it doesn't matter so much. You know that those powers are out there on the board. When you're dealing with like a solo player or a low player count, you're not potentially going to have those great powers. You're going to be left with other ones that perhaps are a little less underwhelming, overwhelming, a little less great. Now, as I've already said a couple of times, don't get me wrong, this is a great game. I'm so pleased I've got it. I love the variability from the multiple characters. I love the missions. I even love my dice tower. I love it all. And I quite like the combat system, which I'm not going to explain, but it involves 3 dice and the death of disease cubes, by which I mean orcs. It's great fun, and I actually want to be playing it now. I obviously loaded the decks a little bit so I could show you various things in there and mechanics, so I can't leap straight into a game, but I'd rather be playing it than filming it. It's good, and it's obviously going to stay in my collection. It's Lord of the Rings. So yeah, don't get me wrong, great game. Just a few reservations there that might knock it off the top spot. I'm pretty sure that somewhere near the beginning of Lord of the Rings, Tolkien says something to the effect of the reason he wrote such a big book was the desire of a storyteller to tell a long story. And people have commented about this game that you get the epic feel of Lord of the Rings in a much shorter game, which is sometimes needed. I'm not sure what Tolkien would think of that. It wasn't the desire of a gamer to get things done before 10 o'clock, was it? But that's a very minor gripe. You do get perhaps a little taste of epic in a smaller time frame. I do agree. But, token nerd, if this isn't the greatest Lord of the Rings game of all time, what is? Alright, I've got loads of Lord of the Rings games. What I propose to do, maybe inspired by the World Cup, is have a little bit of a tournament. Pit some games against each other in a couple of videos. Run a campaign of knocking games out and see what lands on top out of the ones I own. You may have others that you think should be the Lord of the Rings. That's pretty much all I've got to say on this one for the time being. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate my videos are of dubious quality, and I don't put them out that often. I've got a full-time job, but any kind of support or love for listening to me talk about games that I enjoy is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you soon with a Lord of the Rings tournament. Thanks.